speaker is from the University of California Medical Center, Dr. Shubba Nephrologist.
Dr. Shubba.
And she is Assistant Professor of Internal Medicine Nephrology at UC Davis and was nice enough to join us after attending the wedding this morning.
Can you hear me? Okay, Linda and Deborah, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here on your 10th anniversary. In case you're wondering why I'm dressed like this, like Deborah said, I went for a wedding this morning, and when Linda called me and said, when can you come and speak? I'll match it on both sides. So when Linda asked me to speak today, I told her I have a wedding that same morning and I'll be dressed up and I have to drive from San Jose to come here. And she said, it's the 10th anniversary. Get dressed up and come. What I'm going to be talking today is, this was a topic that was given to me because I heard that many of you have questions about taking medications as either on dialysis or CKD patients, kidney patients before dialysis, or transplant medications. And why should we take a handful of medications? Because that's literally what our patients are taking, right? So I thought sort of delve into this a little bit and try to break it down as to why are we having our patients do this?
Just hold it and press down. Don't scroll.
Don't scroll.
Don't move it, just touch.
Let me see what worked for me.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
You change it or did I change it?
You moved it. Just hold the mouse and click.
okay. Thank you. All right. So, taking a look at the statistics, we all know our patients, especially when they're elderly, this is the stats for patients over the age of 65, more than half of them take 5 or more medications. And about 12% take 10 medications. And this, of course, includes over-the-counter medications in addition to prescription medications. But if you actually look at some other data, like say hospitalized patients or patients in the nursing home, what we call in the medical literature as pill burden is tremendous. You can see here in Italy, for example, if you get hospitalized, they study patients who are hospitalized and get discharged, about more than half of them were discharged on 5+ medications. And this is another study from America. Nursing home patients, about 40% of them were taking 9+ medications. How do we get there? How did this happen that we have all our patients take this many medications? Well, we all know the top 2 causes of kidney disease are diabetes and high blood pressure in this country. Of course, there are some, environmental toxins that gentlemen alluded to. But by and large, most people develop kidney disease because of diabetes and high blood pressure. So initially, when the patient develops diabetes, sees the primary care doctor, they get put on few diabetic medications. Then they develop high blood pressure and more gets added. Now you're taking a handful more of blood pressure medications. And then unfortunately, if there's kidney disease that develops, then more medications get added on. And they send you to see your friendly neighborhood kidney doctor, like me. We add on more medications. We love to just pile it on, right? We add more medications on dialysis, and when you get a kidney transplant, even more. And it's not just me you see. You see your heart doctor, you see the foot doctor, you see your diabetes doctor. So, and a lot of times, one person does not know what the other person is doing, right? Am I right? So this is, I'm speaking from experience, that medications, when it's handled by too many people, and when the number of pills also are excessive, there is tremendous room for error, which we'll talk about shortly in subsequent slides. But I just want to set the stage now as to why, how is it that our patients end up taking so many pills, and this is why. And there you go. We end up with a handful of medications. So, this is a favorite quote of mine. If the doctors threw all our medicines into the sea, it would be that much better for our patients, but that much worse for the fish. This is a quote from Oliver Wendell Holmes. And, there is a grain of truth to this. In today's day and age, there are lots of people who are looking for, alternative methods, alternative modalities, moving away from mainstream medicine and mainstream medications. And there is a truth to it, because a lot of times medications may do more harm than good. And in fact, you'll be surprised to hear what Osler said about medications. He said, the person who takes medicine must recover twice, one from the disease and one from the medicine. I'm sure everyone has experience, right, dealing with side effects of medications. So, bottom line is, I'm here to tell you, yes, taking medications is not pleasant. It's a lot of it, and especially our kidney patients, we do it. We put them on lots of medications, and a lot of times it's not pleasant. But I'm here to tell you a little bit of truth to why there may be a method to the madness, as to why it's important to take some of these medications and to look at how these work. So, one way to look at why we take medications, any medicines for that matter, we may take it because it makes us live longer, correct? We have one. If there is a magic pill which will make us live up to 150, we all will sign up for it. Unfortunately, there is no such pill. We may take medicines because it makes us feel better, right? We have a toothache, you pop in a couple of Tylenols, you feel better. Or we have a backache, we take a pain pill, it gets better. So a lot of medicines we take, especially when it involves acute things like a toothache or a back pain or a pulled muscle, we take medicines, we feel better. The problem is the third category. If there are medicines that makes an impact on other organs, the problem is it takes months, if not years, to get the benefit from that medication. Which is the problem when we deal with chronic diseases, high blood pressure, diabetes, kidney disease, you name it, heart disease. The problem is the doctors prescribe medications, often a handful. We do not see the effect of preventing that heart attack or preventing that stroke or preventing going on dialysis for years to come. That is a big problem because we live in a society of instant gratification, right? We want it now. But a lot of times it doesn't work that way in chronic diseases. And that's something I really want to point out, that is why I think we inherently have trouble accepting medications as a chronic thing. Because most of what we prescribe for chronic ailments don't work right away or show their effect right away. So I think a good way to look at it is, well, let's see how this helps me and maybe take these medications, understanding how it works, while waiting for the fantastic dialysis alternative that Dr. Roy has in store. And I'm personally very, very excited to hear that. And I always tell my patients, if there was some way to get rid of dialysis completely and replace it with something fantastic, do it, even if it means we won't have a job. That should be the goal of every patient, every practitioner of kidney disease. So, let's take a closer look at this. Patients with kidney disease, we can divide them up into patients who are pre-dialysis, dialysis, transplant patients. And in the beginning, there was a show of hands as to who fell in which category. I'm not going to be talking a lot about transplant medications here. Just one slide, just because we all know that for the transplant to survive, these medications are of prime importance. I think it's more important to focus on the pre-dialysis and dialysis medications and see how they can help us. So these are commonly used medication classes, we all know this. Most patients are on blood pressure lowering medicines, diabetes medications, cholesterol medications commonly known as statins. We have the binder medications, everybody's familiar with that, right? And the vitamin D agents, everybody's familiar with that. So it all adds up. So I'm going to walk you through each category of medicine to take a closer look at them. The blood pressure lowering medications. Now, in your opinion, tell me, especially patients who are on dialysis, most patients, you or patients you know, are almost always on blood pressure medications, correct? Most patients will require some form of blood pressure medications because the kidney is a very important regulator of blood pressure. So when you lose your own kidney function and you're replacing it with dialysis, that doesn't go away. You still have to deal with the blood pressure issue. So I'm hopeful the new machine would work wonders for this. But until that time, let's take a look at this. If you do not have kidney disease, we have lots and lots of data to tell us blood pressure medications actually A, make you live longer, and B, have a favorable impact on other organs. In medicine, we like to call them mortality and morbidity. In other words, they reduce your risk of strokes and heart attacks and heart failure. What about if you do have kidney disease? What data do we have? Well, the data is not as strong as in patients without kidney disease, because a lot of studies they exclude our patients. But from what we do know, if you do reduce your blood pressure by taking medications, we know that for every 5 points of reduction in your blood pressure, you reduce your cardiovascular events by a sixth. Just think about that for a minute. So for every 5 points, say if your blood pressure is 160 now, if you brought it down to 155, you will be reducing your subsequent risk of strokes or heart attacks or heart failure by about a sixth. Isn't that wonderful? It is wonderful, right, if you think about it. So we do have evidence even in kidney patients. Now, however, it doesn't come easy. When you take a look at how many pills it takes to control blood pressure, if you do have kidney disease, all of these various studies I listed, it tells you, so this was the mean blood pressure they achieved, around 130s to 140s, to bring the blood pressure down to around 130s to 140s. If you look on this axis, I'm sorry it didn't project well, but the first column, if you fell here, you took about 1 pill. If you fell here, you took 2. This is 3 and 4. So you can see on an average, just to control blood pressure if you have kidney disease, it takes 2 to 3 pills, and that's not uncommon. That's what I want you to take away from this, that yes, blood pressure is extremely common, and yes, there is a big benefit to treating blood pressure if you have kidney disease, and it takes multiple medications. And this is a control setting, this is a control study where everybody was monitored very closely. Even there, it took them 2 to 3 pills to control the blood pressure. Now, I know the next question what you're going to ask me is this. Can I just reduce salt? Yes? Is that the next question you were going to ask? Right? Can I just reduce salt? Turns out they've actually looked at that. What did they find? Absolutely. Now, I want you to look at these two. I'll just walk you through these graphs. So, they looked at what happened to blood pressure. So the higher you are, the higher your blood pressure. If the bar is lower, your blood pressure is lower. Now, these were patients on a regular sodium diet, and that side the patients were on a low sodium diet. The blood pressure medicines were exactly the same. By simply moving from the high sodium diet to a low sodium diet while maintaining the same medication, look at what happened to the blood pressure from here to here. This is shown repeatedly in multiple studies. So if your medicine is not working for you, one question you ask yourself, is it because I'm having too much salt in my body. So when your physician or your dietitian tells you reduce the salt, it's because of this. To give the medicine a chance to work. And this has been shown repeatedly. So this is the second take-home point I want to share with you guys about medications and blood pressure, that yes, though it takes a lot of medicines, you can bring it down or control it better simply by making that small change. Any questions? Move on to the next. Oh, here's another fantastic one. What happens when you reduce your salt intake? It not only helps reduce your blood pressure, look at what happened. Everybody familiar with the term proteinuria, or what that means? Proteinuria means protein in the urine. Very simple. And I don't know how many of you are aware that if you do have kidney disease, one of the questions you really need to ask your kidney doctor, how much protein do I have in my urine? Turns out it's a very potent marker as to which patient is going to end up on dialysis, depending on how much protein you have in your urine now, before dialysis. So, this is again showing you the amount of protein in the urine, simply by reducing salt intake, can come down. You see this? This is almost 1.5 grams. It's come down to almost 1 gram. So that's the second take-home point about blood pressures and medications. Okay? Now, the third key point about blood pressure and kidneys is this. How many of you have heard about the magic kidney beans? You know what those are? Did you guys know that there are magic pills for blood pressure and kidney disease? How many of you know there's a magic pill? Anybody? Maybe if I tell you the name, you will realize, I was maybe taking the magic pill. The prills and the tans, right? Now everybody knows. But did you know it was the magic pill? I'll tell you why it's the magic pill. So, the medicines that a lot of you kidney doctors put you on, which ends in a prill, lisinopril, falsinopril, enalapril, ramipril, right? Sounds familiar? Or the ones that ends in a tan, losartan, telmisartan. Give me some more tans. You know what I'm talking about. Candesartan. So, that ones that ends in a tan. So, this is point number 4. If you have kidney disease and you have protein in the urine, make sure you're on the magic kidney pill for blood pressure. You have to. Because being on the magic kidney pill will buy you years of life on the kidney you have. Okay? Which is why it's called the magic kidney pill. Now, they slow down progression of kidney disease. And again, these work best when the sodium is restricted. So how do we know this? We know this from years and years ago when they did clinical trials in patients who were put on the magic kidney pills. And they found that patients who took either the pills or the tans and were on a low sodium diet, they marched much slower to dialysis than patients who are not on these medications. So my advice to you is, ask your doctor if there is lots of protein in your urine, and if there is, make sure you take the magic kidney pill. Okay? The problem is, and I understand that, a lot of patients may not tolerate this pill because their potassium goes up, correct? A lot of times patients get on these pills and their potassium goes up. There are ways to deal with that. Again, we're not going to go into the side effect of that, but remember, there are ways to deal with the high potassium issue. Okay? Alright, what do we know about taking blood pressure pills if you're already on dialysis? So far we looked at what happens before dialysis. Again, to summarize, it's only 3. Reduce your salt intake, go on the magic kidney pill, and yes, it takes multiple pills to control your blood pressure. Very simple. What about if you're already on dialysis? Here I'm going to share with you certain crucial things about blood pressure medications. We don't have a lot of data because we don't have a lot of studies on dialysis patients as to the effects of these pills and lowering blood pressure, except from few few studies that do show a positive beneficial effect on heart events like heart attacks and strokes. But here is really the key. I want to share with you certain strategies to reduce the pill burden. And we call this pill burden again just because of the sheer number of patients have to take, right? I'm going to tell you certain key strategies how you can reduce the number of pills you're taking while you're on dialysis. Let me hear suggestions from you guys. Have you guys thought about how you can reduce the number of pills? How can you reduce pill burden if you're a dialysis patient?
Diet.
Yes?
I control my sodium intake, but I also use a sauna to drop my water weight and drop the sauna so that I can control my fluid and don't have a strong.
Very interesting, but I'm probably not going to recommend that as a general recommendation because, it works for you. But that first point, I definitely is well taken. Reduce salt intake, yes?
I have a question about renal angiotension.
Yes.
That's what I unfortunately suffer from. And I've been doing dialysis for a little over a year. And for some reason, when I do it at night, like on the late shift, it goes up higher than it does when I do it during the day.
Your blood pressure? Okay, those are specific patient-driven or, other factor-driven things which we can talk about maybe at the end of the session. Okay, because it's a unique experience. But in general, what are some strategies other than sodium reduction you can use to help with the pill burden? Yes?
Diet.
Sorry? Diet? Watch your fluid intake and water. Exactly. So the key things are these. It's often related to fluid gains, right? So like you said, if you reduce your salt intake and your fluid intake, less builds up and you need fewer pills to control. And the key question to ask is your dry weight correct? Because if your dry weight is not right, you're always going to be riding above your dry weight with fluid and you're constantly going to need more and more medications to bring the blood pressure down. Okay? So key question, is your dry weight correct? Now, this is another key thing that I want to share with you. Did you guys know that more frequent dialysis, especially nocturnal dialysis, helps you calm down, get rid of blood pressure medications? How many of you knew that? Our speaker from next stage, Sam, right? He shared with us the nice story of how he was able to get rid of blood pressure medications, and that's a true story. Patients who do more frequent dialysis, especially at night time, believe it or not, they are able to come off a lot of their blood pressure medications and have excellent blood pressures. I don't know how many of you are doing nighttime dialysis, but in Canada, they do a lot of home nighttime dialysis. They just go to sleep and they stick themselves, and at nighttime they dialyze while they sleep at home. So a lot of us are not doing that here just yet, but it's up and coming. But these are some strategies you could use to reduce your pill burden, okay? So if you're on dialysis, remember 3 things. Your salt intake matters, fluid intake. See if your dry weight is right. If your dry weight is not right, make sure you challenge it to get better control of your blood pressure. And third, consider alternative dialysis modalities, like more frequent dialysis, okay? All right, this is the summary, we just went through it. I'm not going to go over the slide again. Key things to remember before dialysis and after dialysis. Remember the magic pill, don't forget that. All right, just one slide on the statins because this is a controversial topic I don't want to get into. But if you are pre-dialysis and your kidney doctor wants you to go on a statin, which is a cholesterol lowering medication, we have proof, we have good evidence that it reduces your risk for heart attacks and strokes. Pre-dialysis with kidney disease. Okay? However, the studies in patients on dialysis already with a statin, they show no benefit. I'm sorry to say. There have been large trials in dialysis patients that showed no benefit. Having said that, this does not mean that if you're taking a statin before dialysis and you start dialysis, we stop it. We don't do that because we don't have that piece of information what to do with that patient population. Okay? So these are the key points to remember. Pre-dialysis, statin is very helpful, especially if you're over the age of 50. Do consider strongly to go on a statin. Okay? This is my favorite topic. Let's talk about this. I'm sure this is everybody's favorite topic, right? Because I know the doctors and the dietitians were always like, take your binders, and sometimes it becomes so obsessive, right? To take your binders and stick to your diet and control your phosphorus. Every month, I know the patient feels so anxious. Doc, what's my phosphorus this month? It's 5.6. Oh, I'm up by 0.1, and it becomes such an anxiety-provoking event. I'm here to tell you that binder medication, first of all, why are we on it? Whatever we eat, it has phosphorus. Everybody knows that, right? Most of the food we eat, with the exception of a few fruits and vegetables, have phosphorus in them. And our bodies need phosphorus. The problem is when your kidney cannot eliminate it, right? Because most of what we eat has phosphorus, especially products that comes from animals. You know, when I was a resident, one of my attendings used to have the picture of a cow in his office. And I used to wonder, why did he have a picture of a cow in his office? And he used to tell me, anything that comes from the cow is phosphorus. The meat, the milk, the cheese, the pizza, the ice cream, the cookies, anything that's a byproduct of the cow is phosphorus. That was a quick and easy way for him to tell the patient, watch out for these foods. But the point is, how can you watch out? How can you say, don't eat any of this? You cannot survive. Because on one hand we say, increase your protein intake, which is all these foods, and the other hand we say, increase your phosphorus intake. It's crazy, right? Which is why we have binders. Because the binders, what they do is, you all know this, they bind to the phosphorus like a magnet. And you basically eliminate it in the stool. The problem is when the phosphorus accumulates, we know this from lots and lots of clinical data that it's bad. High phosphorus is bad because it goes and sits on your blood vessels, your heart valves, it goes and damages your skin and soft tissue. It's really bad. And you itch a lot, right? Yes? When the phosphorus goes up, we itch a lot. So which is why the binders are used. The problem with the binders is they single-handedly are the cause for your pill burden. Patients ask me this all the time. Doctor, is this breakfast? Take with breakfast or is this my breakfast? Because literally they have to take 4 to 6 pills with breakfast, again with lunch, again with dinner, to add a couple with snacks, it gets too much. And to top it off, the sizes of these are not very conducive too. If you look at the size of that, I don't know how many of you are on the chewable pill called Lanthanum, Phosphorus. The size of that is like a quarter. And you have to chew it every time you eat. And the size of the Renvela and the Foslo is about 2 centimeters each. So they are huge pills. Thankfully, they have it in powder form and liquid form now. And they cost a lot, yeah. So, why should I take binders? Because this is what we hear from patients. They don't make me feel good. Because remember when we started this talk, we said we take pills for 3 reasons. They make you live longer, they make you feel better, and one more. Certainly not the second one. They make you feel horrible. They make you feel sick and constipated. A lot of times we forget. This is what patients tell me. I eat out a lot and don't have the pills with me, and they're huge. We cannot swallow. So why do we force our patients to do this? Because this is what we know. We know that being on a phosphate binder reduces your risk of dying. Okay, of course, this is not based on randomized trials, but from the data we have, we know that being on a binder reduces your risk for dying. Not only that, it helps with the damage in your blood vessels. Certainly reduces itching. And I don't know if you guys have seen this painful lesion some people get on their skins, or the skin break down. I didn't want to show scary pictures today, but you know what I mean. If you've seen one, you can't forget it. But those skin lesions seem to occur but the phosphoruses are very, very high. So there's a lot of beneficial effects as to why you need to take the binder to control the phosphorus. But I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to tell you how can you avoid the pill burden. What are some strategies to reduce the number of pills you take for the high phosphorus? Talking to the dietitian to identify the hidden phosphorus sources is probably the number one thing I would recommend. Because patients are often pleasantly surprised. Oh, I didn't know that had so much phosphorus in it. And simply by eliminating those, they're able to achieve much better phosphorus control. And we've seen this day-to-day in our dialysis units. And the second thing I want to talk to you about is, believe it or not, see, it's kind of the same theme, right? Frequent dialysis. Either, short daily dialysis, doing it more frequently, 5 to 6 days a week, or doing it at night time, which is a longer dialysis. So I was in Canada, and I got to see patients who did the nocturnal or the nighttime dialysis. I was so surprised having seen dialysis patients in America, and when I went to Canada and saw the patients who were on the nighttime dialysis, they don't take any binders. First of all, I was shocked. What? You guys don't take any binders? And to top that, they tell me they actually have to add phosphorus to the dialysate. They can't keep them low. They can't keep the levels high enough. They actually give them back phosphorus in the fluid. Can you believe that? So those patients are eating a normal diet. They're not watching their cheeses and the beans, all the yummy food. They don't really have to read labels. They eat pretty much, a normal diet. And in fact, like I said, they have to supplement them with phosphorus, believe it or not. So certainly that has a role. More frequent dialysis or nighttime dialysis. Again, these are some things, these are personalized decisions where you have to talk with your own nephrologist to see if that's suitable to you. Because obviously, frequent dialysis or nighttime dialysis is not, it's not suitable for everyone. You have to take it on a case-by-case basis. Now, last but not least, I'm going to finish up by talking to you about why we take the vitamin D compounds. You might have heard this in various names. Calcitriol, Zemplar, Hectorol. Remember the names? Why do we take them? Why does my nephrologist make me take these medications? Simple answer is, they help control the levels of your parathyroid hormone, PTH in short. And how did that name come about? This is your thyroid gland. You see here, this is your thyroid gland, which is in your neck. But behind those are 4 little glands called the parathyroid glands. So it's not your thyroid, it's your parathyroid next to it, which makes this hormone. And why do we need to control that hormone? Because I like to tell my patients a Pacman analogy. You guys know the Pacman game, right? It goes clippity, clippity, clip. So think of parathyroid hormone really as a Pacman game. Because when those hormone levels are extremely high, they go and chew on the bone. They go and chew on the bone. In fact, I'll show you this picture, you'll be surprised to know. Many years ago, this is a picture from I think 30, 40 years ago. That's a 21-year-old adult who has severe bone disease because of kidney disease, and we didn't have those therapies back then. The calcitriol, maybe calcitriol, but the other vitamin D compounds, and we didn't really manage the bone disease that well several years ago. So it was very common to see bone disease. But in today's day and age, we have these agents which, remember, it's like they're blocking the Pacman. You hit it on its head and protects your bone. So that's the reason why you take your vitamin Ds. And when I say vitamin D, I don't mean the over-the-counter store-bought vitamin D. It's the one that your nephrologist prescribes to you, either in the dialysis unit or makes you take it at home. Okay? So again, that's adding up to your pill burden, yeah? But that's why you take it, because it protects your bone with possible beneficial effects on the blood vessels and heart. So, last slide I told you I'm just going to have one slide on transplant medications because we all know that you absolutely need these pills in order to protect the transplant. There are a lot of side effects to transplant medications. But there are ways we can manage it, by example, switching from one class to another, and your nephrologist can help you with that. And adherence to transplant medications, I cannot overstate this, it's of prime importance. In that vulnerable age group, especially in patients who are just crossing crossing to young adulthood, being a teenager and going on, to be independent, there are higher rates of loss of the kidney transplant because when they are kids, the parent gives them the transplant medications. Once they are a little bit more independent, they forget to take their transplant medications, so they don't take them. So there's a higher risk of loss of kidney transplant in that age group. Telling you right there, well, you don't need to know anything else. You just need to know that you lose the transplant without these medications, right? So that is the reason transplant medications are so important. So, I want to end this by saying this very important message. So far, we've looked at why we take these medicines and how they help us, and we've looked at strategies to reduce the pill burden. But this is probably the key message I want to share. Our patients are using multiple medications from multiple providers. So be very, very vigilant and careful because there's tremendous potential for error, including drug interactions, how one medicine interacts with the other. Potential for error. I once had a patient who checked out, these forms they give you when you come into the doctor's office, fill out what medications you take. And the patient sometimes just checks them, right? And so I had him bring in all his meds one day, and he brought me literally this whole box of pill bottles. And literally he had 3 different kinds of sleeping medications, 4 different kinds of pain pills, 6 different kinds of blood pressure medications. And he just took one from each box in the morning, and he was complaining he felt very fatigued in the morning and sleeping. So the potential for error is very, very high. So what I would recommend, my advice is always keep an updated list when you're dealing with a handful of medications. And there are a lot of free apps available now where you can simply update it. Another way I tell my patients is simply take a picture of all the labels when you come in to see me. Simply take everyone has smartphones these days, because when the number of pills you're taking is more than, say, 1 or 2, like I said, the potential for error goes up tremendously. So always make either an updated list, or bring your pills, or take photos of the pill bottles and the labels, bring it to your visit. And with that, I'm going to end by telling you that, yes, medications are hard to take, they have a lot of side effects, but pills are good and they help you. Thank you very much.